All right. Welcome to The Harvest podcast episode 1.
I'm excited.
Yeah. My name is Xavier Garcia.
Jonathan Garcia.
And we're going to be talking about everything cinema and story. And as we learn, you learn.
Yeah. This is something that it's been in our hearts for a long time to offer the audience everything that we've learned throughout the years.
Yeah. So let's get right into it.
Sure.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about what we want to accomplish with the podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about our short film Underground and the process and where we're at with that, and the networking. You know, because
Right.
Underground was just submitted into a film festival, and it's going to be a couple more, and just kind of the film festival experience.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things, that once people make movies, they put all this hard work, all this time, and then it just sits. You know, what do you do with the movie? And that's something we're going to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so, Jonathan, what do we want to accomplish with this podcast?
Yeah, so there's quite a few things that we want to accomplish, and this is something that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be sharing something. You're going to be sharing something. They may not be the same thing. It's going to be great. We'll probably clash. That's what brothers do. But ultimately, we love the Lord, and then that's where we're going to agree. We're going to agree with God. So what do we want to accomplish? I think what we want to accomplish is being a good resource for filmmakers out there, particularly, with the stuff that we've done. So, for instance, in Underground, which was our most recent content, we felt that creating a series was something that was in our heart, something that was going to be able to be continuously produced.
Yeah, and in so creating that, there's going to be a major learning curve. And I think that as we discover this learning curve into what it takes to self-produce and self-create a streaming series, we're going to learn a lot. And we want to pass that knowledge on to you all and be a resource. And so that perhaps maybe you can avoid the mistakes that we make.
Oh, yeah.
Or, enjoy the fruits of the knowledge that we pass on as we succeed.
Yeah.
So, that's one major element of it. There's also the, as you said, just kind of being a resource. I think I'm loving, actually, the ability right now that you could just go online, Google, and research anything, just about anything. You can be self-taught. Education is at your fingertips. I know that there are a lot of people that talk about film school. Is it necessary? Is it not? That's a huge debate. That's a huge conversation that can be had. It has its benefits. It has its minuses. I think the biggest minus is the debt that you walk out of, and you don't have that when you have resources like this podcast. You don't walk out with that debt because all that we're doing is giving it away for free.
Right.
People have blessed us with information, with help along the way, and we want to do the same thing.
Right, and I think also Xavier and I, we have a very unique story structure, how we write, and we're going to make it available. We're going to kind of show you guys the way that we tell a story, and how it's different from a lot of the things that's out there, and it's going to be unique, and you could take it, you could leave it, whatever you want to do with it. But we know it's really helped us. It's given us the leverage to be able to get content out there to producers and just get in their eye, get their attention.
So with that said, obviously, any questions that anyone may have, you can email it at info@mountharvest.com. Any questions, we'll happily go through them and answer some of those questions.
Yeah, or you can comment on the video below, and we'll answer right there on the comment section.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Underground and what it is. Well, first and foremost, what is Underground?
Gosh, I think that was a better question for you. Why don't you start it off? I think
absolutely. Underground. Underground is right now. It's just a pilot episode. It's actually a teaser for a pilot that doesn't even quite get to the pilot length. We were really excited about putting together something that, based off of an idea that we had, that we came together as a team. Friday nights we get together and we just kind of talk ideas. And the Cast of Faith team that came together, the ministry that does a lot of theatrical work and we do a lot of our theater work with, sat down and we brainstormed about certain topics and ideas that we would love to see in television, and Underground was one of them. And it was from the perspective of Bostonians, rich, wealthy, white Bostonians that find themselves at the with a spiritual, divine call from the Lord to give up everything, risk everything in order to turn their homes into a spot on the Underground Railroad in 1851.
And I think that story is so important for Boston. It's so important for Massachusetts, specifically New Bedford. There's such a rich history.
Which is where it was based.
Right. It's such a rich history in Massachusetts, for instance, the early settlers, and how they had this Christian ideology, their desire to make a city on a hill, a light, to make this place really be a beacon for the nation, as a nation, a state for the Lord. And that's something that's missed in films. Boston now, that's far from the truth. Like, you'd see Boston, liberal state, it's, it doesn't even...
It's been secularized.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that the story that we're trying to tell is a story to kind of dig into some of the lesser known and certainly right now stories that actually did happen in this area that haven't been explored, that are in your history books. And and it combines fiction with nonfiction, and it pulls certain historical elements and brings them into a story that we're creating. However, it certainly is rooted in truth and true moments, historical moments, powerful moments that happened in Boston, Massachusetts history. And we decided to put together a 10-minute teaser for a pilot that we are really excited about. And actually we just finished post. Well, we're kind of still in post. Yeah. We're still editing sound. We're working with an engineer based just north of the city. And we entered it into the International Christian Film Festival. It's an unfinished piece, but we entered it because we felt it was solid enough at the state that it was in order for it to be reviewed and accepted, and it was accepted.
So what is it about the story for you when it comes to the protagonist? What is his message that you feel give you the desire to want to write it? Us writing it.
Okay. When we were conceiving the story and when we were thinking about, okay, how do we put together something that we haven't seen already? Because there's a ton of underground. I mean, even the title, Underground,
right. Exactly.
That exists. It's a Hulu show, and so we were like, okay, how can this be different? It's been done, do we have to change name? And we're like, well, you know what? This is all conceptual right now. We're trying to sell an idea. We're trying to sell a story. And what we were hanging our story on was the idea of infusing faith with abolitionism and seeing how the two go hand in hand. I know, for example, the movie Harriet that just came out kind of started to scratch at the surface of that. And I think we owe it to the people that
lived it
and risked their lives because of their faith to tell the stories from that perspective. And so, Dr. William, in our short, he has this near-death experience, this really harrowing experience that leads him to audibly hearing the voice of God, essentially change his life path from what he was doing as a doctor to becoming an abolitionist, saving and rescuing specifically children. Orphaned children, and going out of his way to literally finding them and where they are in the worst of places and smuggling them through the Underground Railroad into his home and then up into Canada. And so when we thought of it from that perspective and said, oh, okay, this guy heard the audible voice of God. What path is he going to go on? Is he going to go in that machine gun preacher type where he, kind of goes off and takes it and makes it his own mission? And so initially it begins good and then goes down the path of like just evil almost. or do we want to keep it down this other path? And this is something that we left open. We left it open because we wanted to discuss it. We wanted to tour this short film through the film festival circuit and have open discussions as we're watching it and viewing it with the audience about potential path. That's one thing I know we enjoy is the collaborative process, and not just collaborating with with talent and crew, but even collaborating with your audience,
right.
Testing these things, getting audience feedback, getting audience interaction, and seeing what the audience wants, what the audience is looking for.
Right. Right. Just because like you said, it's been done before. How do you retell a story that's been done? What can you pull out of it, or what can you add to it that it's refreshing? And sometimes you realize these audience members, they're like, I've never seen a movie with a man being told by God to help.
Yeah, kind of like a Saul to Paul moment, but instead of it being a conversion story, right. A conversion of faith, it's more a conversion of mission and a right. conversion of goal, and a conversion of life and life direction.
Right, because the question in this film that we answer is, in this short film we answer is, where was God during this time?
Yeah.
And that's a huge, because there was a huge awakening around that time.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And so... leading into it. And so we're not going to give too much away about it because it's still in the post-production process. And I think that as we continue with the podcasts and as the film grows and as the film moves, we're going to move along with it, and giving you more information, more insight. But it did get into ICFF, which was really exciting for us because it was kind of like a shot in the dark. We're like, well, it's incomplete. Let's see if it makes it, and it did. And I think they saw what we saw in it. I think when they watched it, they were touched by the story, even though technically perhaps it's still unfinished.
Yeah, it's a proof of
concept.
But
they were moved, and that was exciting for us that it was nominated for Best Short Film. Talk a little bit about just the importance of the film festival experience for something like this when you're trying to launch a pilot to something, or you have a concept. Maybe you have a feature film in mind and you create a short and you want to test it out. Can you talk a little bit about is putting something like this in a film festival important? Does it help? Does it not help? Is there value in it? Can it lead to the ultimate goal? Can putting a spec script or a short concept or a pilot concept in a film festival lead to the actual goal that you have?
Well, I'll tell you this. It really depends on the film festival because there's a lot of film festivals out there. And, I remember when we did a Blood Throne, we submitted to many film festivals, and we were surprised by, here's a biblical movie we did, and it's picked up by a secular film festival that love it. And, it really surprised us. So it begins by you knowing what film festival to submit to.
Yeah, you got to do your homework. You got to do your homework. You got to do your due diligence because there's many, 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 many amazing film festivals out there. There's many great ones, and there's a couple of bad apples that sneak in as well. But just because it's an amazing film festival doesn't mean that your film is for that festival.
For that audience.
For that audience, they cater to different demographics. They sometimes have very specific themes in mind, or they are pushing specific agendas, and sometimes some of them are political, and that's just the nature of it. And you just got to know what you're getting yourself into. You got to do your homework. You got to do your research. You got to look into who's won in the past, what the types of films that have won in the past, what and kind of go about it from that route, because you could be wasting your time and money. These things are expensive.
Yeah.
And money adds up.
Once you find the right one, you'll start to notice how you start meeting your audience. You start meeting the people that like your content. You get to engage with them, and they give you great feedback, because it'll only expand the quality of your future work. You'll know how to reach them.
Yeah. So what would you, if you could give one piece of advice to anyone at a festival that's shopping around, we'll call it shopping around their content because they have a goal and a dream to expanding and making something bigger, what would you tell them? Here, when you go there, if I'm going to tell you one thing, I'm going to tell you this, do this.
Well, I would start by look in your local state. I mean, work with what's local to you, because there's a lot of film festivals just in your state. And you got to find ones that, whether it's a biblical, it's Christian film festival, whether it's, sometimes there'll be horror, there'll be different types. Once you find that, it'd be better to pursue those first before you travel and spend all this money to go to a film festival that, you end up there and you realize this isn't,
right. But so let's say they find that festival,
right,
and they're at the place, they've done their research, they've done their homework, they've gotten there, and it's accepted, and they're in, and they're going to show it. What would you say as advice?
The advice is communicate. That, for me, do not be shy. Be bold. Go. And most film festivals have
some sort of a networking
event. Exactly.
Take advantage of that.
That is probably day one of the film festival. Take advantage of that. Have cards, have flyers, have anything that you feel like will help you, give you a tool or an in to be able to talk to somebody. Make it easier for yourself by handing something and then striking a conversation through it. Yeah, absolutely. Being bold.
Yeah. Look, it's tough sometimes, maybe perhaps for an actor or an actress, engaging an audience may not be as difficult as it would be, say, for a writer who spends a lot of time alone, and then now all of a sudden here they are surrounded by this mass audience of people that are all at the end of the day there for the same reason, and so I think if you recognize that everybody's there wanting to meet you, I think it takes away a little bit of the anxiety, a little bit of the apprehension, or perhaps maybe even the fear or concern. We're all there because they themselves are trying to grow and expand, whether it be their brand, their story, their ideas. They're trying to get themselves into films. But yeah, everyone's there wanting to meet you.
Right.
And if you go in with that mentality, I think it makes the whole process easier.
Yeah. We've met a lot of great people,
great friends, great family. Now
we still talk to these people as if they're like our friends and family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You'd be surprised what a simple conversation, how far it'll take you with your future work at a film festival.
Yeah. I think you said it best. You're engaging your audience, right? I mean, these are the people that are going to be watching your films or reading your scripts or whatever it is that you're submitting. They're going to be engaging with your story. What a great opportunity to talk to them and ask them questions, what they think. And if the networking event is prior to like your showing, well then like you're making friends and you're getting them to come see your film, or come watch your music video or whatever it is that you submitted. Yeah. In the end, it always has a positive end result. If you are being bold, you're engaging, you're networking, you're talking, you're meeting people, you've come prepared with whatever it is that's going to help you, talk through it. If you need a business card to introduce yourself, bring that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. And film festivals really make your filmmaking career almost legit. It's like you've taken it to the next level to be like, this isn't just something where I'm pointing my iPhone and just recording a little movie and you take it to the next level to be like, I want to get feedback. I want to meet people to grow my network. I want to grow my career, my talent, everything that has to do with filmmaking. That is a major leap in the next level of filmmaking as you enter into a film festival.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good for our first episode. I know it's short. Chances are they'll get longer, and maybe we'll get some guests and some people to talk to and answer questions. But yeah,
I think it'll be great. I think we'd like to in the future, find a way to tell them a little bit more about what's next. I mean, maybe we can give them a little bite, a little nugget of what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, no, right. Well, yeah, as everything that we've done has been building towards, goals of getting into a couple of feature productions, and we are in development for 2 at the same time, which is a lot of work. But I think that in and of itself is another topic. Just kind of how to distribute work and how to kind of get yourself
right.
Get ducks in a row, but many ducks.
Right. When you're ready to go from short to feature.
Yeah, that's a good topic. But we're in the process of developing a couple of things. Some of you out there that are watching this that know us probably already know. I think that's a secret I'm going to keep in the bag for a future episode.
I think, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching The Harvest. We're excited for next time.
Thank you.